Good afternoon, Mark. How you doing?
I'm doing well. Thanks, Tony, for having me.
Yeah, thank you for attending this meeting. So first, I'm gonna read because you have too many credentials and experience, so I need to read it. So for some people, I just say by memory, but I don't want to lose any things that about you. So it's an important thing for people that are listening to this video to know Mark Pineda. So Mark is experienced in multiple arenas, including project, program, portfolio management. Uh, he has been director, system software development life cycle. He's working in the system development life cycle. He has been implemented a business development. And also he's a practitioner in preparing proposals. Uh, Mark has more than 30 years of refining these various skills within the IT industry. Mark is like me. I am a little older than him. 20 years in project program management and the recent 10 years specifically related to the PMO type efforts. That's one of the topics that we're going to be covering today. Mark is driven by a need to be highly organized and meticulous in the details of business operations. He takes pride in providing the best industry standard practices and company-level lessons learned possible. Mark joined the PMO Global Institute in 2022, and he's a certified business PMO consultant. And Mark has his own PMO training and consulting firm that include business development, cash management, and proposal management lifecycle. Prior to joining the PMOGI, Mark worked as an international transportation company as a PMO director, supporting the development and deployment of the PMO infrastructure for an international transportation company, which was we are headquartered in Lisbon, Portugal, with U.S. office near Chicago, Illinois. In addition, Mark is currently a senior level information technology project manager supervising staff of highly assistive skilled resources supporting a large multi-million-dollar contract as centers for Medicare, Medicaid services, and other departments of the health and human services. As a seasoned business and technical professional, he's passionate about developing and implementing a strategic framework and tactical operations of companies' infrastructure. So Mark has also been involved with the local PMI chapter and other organizations various times in his long career. Outside of the office, Mark enjoys cycling, bowling, golfing like me, fishing and grabbing in the Chesapeake Bay, and hiking the mountains of Western Virginia. With that, I left Mark to talk a little more about him and who is Mark Pineda, and then we started the discussions about the next generation PMO and how can we deliver something of value for the audience so they learn from Mark's experience.
All right. So thank you, Tony. All right. So I guess to kind of backtrack where I've been, I started out actually in the technical side of the world, in IT, as they call it, back in the 80s and 90s. Sorry, I dated myself, right? And, I found myself developing software, standing up server farms, network infrastructure, and all of that. But it wasn't until after the Y2K bug, if you remember that back in 2000, yeah, I switched over to the management side, but more specifically in project management, eventually program portfolio management. And I've been there in that side for almost about 23 years now. But in that time, managing projects in the weeds, whether at the operational, technical, or strategic level, was good. It was my bread and butter day in, day out. But I've always wanted to do something more than just manage the project or the program portfolio. And this whole concept about the PMO, the project or program portfolio management office, the group that actually ties all the methodologies, the processes and products of what a PMO is something where I wanted to be a part of. In other words, instead of being one of the PMs in the field, why not be part of the PMO that provides guidance and direction to all the project managers within the organization on things using the same processes and products such as artifacts, documentation, and using a PAL, a process asset library, as we say in the PM world. So everywhere I go, I try to find that holy grail, if you will, of the PMO. That's kind of where I am in my career. So I'm a little bit more established, mature in my career. I'd like to say that I hope to retire in some years from now. But before I do that, I would like to see if I can share my experiences and my education in the world of not just project management, but also in project management office type work. So that for the next generation of PMs, they'll fully embrace the concept of what a PMO is and how they can bring value and benefits to their own career paths and for their companies that they work for.
Yeah.
So that's kind of where I am today. And here we are.
And that's a good thing. So we have the opportunity and the lucky to work for different organizations, and we accumulate our experience, real experience in those organizations, a lot of challenges that we face. And now also that's a responsible thing to do, to work for a legacy, to help this new generation of leaders that are coming behind us, and they are the ones that are gonna be in our place. So when I started doing this, I've been a professor for more than 35 years, working for different important universities in different countries. So my idea is how I want to be remembered. So I want to be remembered as someone that contributed to something, helping people to be better. That's what I do also, so I don't do that for profit. So I have calls from different people around the world just asking me what to do. I want to be a project manager professional, how I should do it, or I should go for an MBA, or I should go for the PMP. So I have a lot of calls around the world. So days and nights working, helping other people. So I think that's the responsible thing to do for leaders like you and me and many others that have been here in the interviews. So I'm going to start to have asking you a couple of questions. And the first one, what are your greatest accomplishments in the PMO space?
Oh, okay. I can
How
think
do
of
you
one.
feel proud?
Oh, the one I feel very proud. Okay, so several years ago, I was approached by a CEO of U.S. operations of a company whose parent company was in Lisbon, Portugal. As a matter of fact, you mentioned that in my bio. They were looking for a PMO director to help them stand up a PMO, again, with the methodology that all of their project managers across the country would utilize, along with all the different processes and all the different products, which includes artifacts, documentation, and other kinds of things, tools, and techniques that would help them. So I live here in Virginia Beach, Virginia, the eastern seaboard of the U.S. But I flew to Chicago, Illinois, almost every week. So that was about 6 dozen trips in 1 year. So that was almost once every week. But I flew to my office over there so that I can be in the headquarters of U.S. operations to help develop and implement an in-house project management office for all U.S. operations. So I think that was the best opportunity I've ever had in standing up a PMO. And it was great. It was fun. Unfortunately, the contract ended. So, well, I had to go elsewhere to find other opportunities. But the second opportunity was actually working for a large government integrator here in the U.S. I won't say their name, but I was one of their senior project managers, but I was recommended to be part of their program manager academy. And in addition to that, be part of the Center of Excellence, which was their in-house PMO at the program level to manage all the different projects at the project level. And I got involved with that for about a year and a half, and we were able to stand up a PMO framework that I believe is still in use today. I'm not quite sure. They might have refined it because I think they might have moved to the agile methodology instead of the typical waterfall back in the day. And along that line, I'll give you a third example. So one of the companies that I worked for under 2 contracts, as a matter of fact, they had what's called project delivery methodology.
Oh, I remember that one.
It was a waterfall PMO. And I was part of a group of about 30 project managers that had to develop the agile part of the PMO for that company. And this is a national company. So this company embraced what we offered. And we did that out of the local office here. They have a giant footprint here where I live. And so we got together to provide that framework, that structure, based on the business objectives and whatever strategies and roadmap and charter that they might have at the corporate level, which you have to bring down to the PMO level. So those are the 3 examples. I know you only asked for one, but those were the 3 sticks.
Very interesting. So another thing is a lot of PMO leaders around the world, they having some kind of challenges in demonstrating values of the PMO. So you are a successful PMO leader. So what you do in order to show value to the senior leadership in your organization?
Okay. Well, first of all, we have to look at certain PMO metrics. All right. We can't just say, hey, if we establish a PMO, then this will happen, this will happen, this will happen, this will happen. We have to equate it into certain metrics. And I'm trying to think of some metrics off the top of my head. I can think of a few. For example, what is the strategic impact of what this PMO is going to do, not just for the way we manage projects, right? But how that these projects will conform to the company's mission and vision statement and all of its business objectives down the line. All right. So what is the impact to their strategy, right? How are these projects going to be delivered? Is it expected that the projects will be delivered on time, under budget, that sort of thing? Will it help in that regard? What about efficiencies and effectiveness in the way operations are done, right? So we have to figure out how the PMO will contribute to that effort. Governance. So there's governance and directives that companies have. How will the PMO help the corporate governance in helping manage those projects at the lower level? All right. Other things that I can think of in terms of value is there's the management of resources. For example, does it increase productivity? We can't say that. That's more subjective than objective. There's probably some other metrics below that. And then there's the whole conversation about ROI, right? Return on investment. Now, there's a whole set of metrics for ROI that we can get into, but I think we'll be here all afternoon, right? And then, of course, there's the value is we're able to communicate and maintain a good stakeholder management plan through all levels of the entire company. So I think some of these, or all of these that I mentioned right now, do bring value to the company. Now, the one thing, the challenge that I had faced most is to get support from the executive level, stakeholder support at the highest level. Because if you can get that, then things get a little easier because now they have the buy-in. All right. Exactly. So when they have that mentality, now they already know what the benefits are of having a PMO in-house. All right.
Exactly.
So that's kind of in a nutshell. I know that was kind of long-winded there, but this is an exciting topic that I'm hopeful that PMs around the world will fully embrace.
Exactly. Yeah, in the same token, so you mentioned about the connection with the senior leadership. And that was another question that I have, a couple of things. So how these organizations, the PMO, can connect with the C-suite. Because in my experience, most of the organization, few of them out there, specifically those big companies, they don't have a seat for the PMO director, or some companies, or they have vice presidents or PMO. So they still report to another level. So they don't have the visibility to be sitting in the same place like the C-suite. So how can we step up the importance of a PMO in organizations so they consider us, the PMO, as a part of the essential business. Like they have finance, they have marketing, they have operations. So why they don't have the PMO parts of those discussions, strategic discussion?
Right. So the various C classes, you have the COO, CEO, you have the CFO, CIO, CTO, CXO, whatever the case
Exactly.
is. Part of the PMO would be one of the CXOs, whether you put it in the CIO or the CTO. It could be part of operations, the COO. But in order for a PMO to be very successful in a company, it actually has to be near the highest level possible. It can't be just, oh, it's just a sub-department of a sub-department of some functional
Exactly.
group. It can't be that low. It has to be close to the C level. And there's got to be constant communication and collaboration with a C officer, a chief officer. Again, goes back to if it's got executive support, executive buy-in, there would be more visibility because that PMO will be closer to the C-suite. And having that established, then comes the communication, collaboration, and networking that's done on a regular basis. You might have daily stand-up meetings, you might have weekly status meetings, or monthly contract reviews, or monthly meetings of any kind, or quarterly meetings, whatever. But to keep that constant communication going, because actually they're stakeholders too, and they have to be well informed what it is this PMO is doing for their projects down in the weeds. So I believe that the PMO needs to be at an elevated level, not just a sub function of some
Right.
obscure department, in the far end of the hallway, if you will.
Yeah, but in order for the C-suite to have you, let's say as a PMO leader, as a peer, that you belong to the same group. So we're going to discuss about the kind of leadership. So what kind of leadership skills those PMO leaders require in order to be part of the same team, so they can be named CPMO, for example.
Right.
or
Yeah. So in
the
addition to
company, they use the CPO, the Chief Project
project
Officer.
officer. Okay.
So
So
what kind of leadership do you need in order to be in that position?
okay. So with that, and I've learned this from experience. In addition to your typical project program portfolio management skill sets that you have, and in addition to the PMO skill sets that you have, you also have to have the broad business acumen of uh, operations, sales and marketing, HR, accounting and finance, marketing and sales, insurance, legal. That PMO leader, whether it's a PMO director or PMO vice president, whatever, has to have that broad general sense of what the business is all about. So they can talk the talk, speak the speak, walk the walk, that sort of thing. Because
Right.
if they're talking nothing but PMO, then all the C-suite officers will tune out. I
Exactly.
say that by experience. So it would behoove the PMO leader to be business savvy, to have the acumen to speak the C-level jargon. And
Exactly.
that's a must. Okay, any one of you out there think that's not required, you come see me. I'll tell you what I'm talking about.
Yeah. Yeah,
So they
that,
have to be able to uh, talk like them at the highest level. So there's the strategic level, tactical, operational level. They have to be able to talk at that high level. That way they can translate it through the grapevine going down to the project
exactly. Yeah, that's a good thing. So there's a lot of PMO fail, because PMO is not new. It's not a new concept that we just implementing now. So it has been around for certain years. And you mentioned Y2K, the year 2000 project that was being developed for more multiple technology-oriented company, but that's impacted basically every organization. Every organization, they have some kind of technology. So a lot of company implemented PMO for a reason, because they need a task force focusing on something that was so important like Y2K.
level.
So in that sense, what do you think is the key for organizational leaders in PMO to develop a profit center and not a cost center? Because most of the PMO failed because they were controlling all departments. They was more like auditors to audit the project managers' work. So how can we transition from being, because most of the organization, they see the PMO as a cost center. What we need
Right.
to do to transition into a profit center?
Right. So in order to yeah, because a PMO really is just overhead, right? In order to support the group financially, yeah, it becomes a cost center. But how do we reduce the cost? You'll never get rid of the cost. The cost will always be there, but we want to try to reduce the cost as much as possible. Now, as far as being a profit center, now we're going into other things like ROI and KPIs and things like that. But in
Right.
order to reduce the cost, we have to look at how the operation of project management is being done today and try to figure out how to assess that. Okay, so I remember in this CB-PMO class, do health checks on their current PMO, whether ones exist or not. We have to see what their methodology looks like, what their processes looks like, and what their products look like, and see if it's bringing about certain value or KPIs. Let me jump into KPIs, if you will. So trying to look at, say, a percentage of how projects are delivered or how projects are completed. You're given a certain amount of time. Is the projects being completed sooner? Well, of course, that time from the time that they close to the time where they budgeted out, that's a cost savings right there. So you could say that the PMO saved that cost, even though the underlying PMO department, there's still a cost to operate.
Right.
Looking at things like percentage of projects delivered in line with the business case or the business objective, right? Will it cost more to get to that point or cost less now that we have a PMO in place? So we're looking at these other kinds of percentages or KPIs. We look at it overall, right? We look at how things overall in terms of the business and technology, the tools and techniques that are being used from the different project managers because of the PMO being in place. We do budget forecasting versus actual costs or even
Exactly.
plan costs, things like that. In other words, earned value management metrics. We look at the schedule if we're going to slide to the right or if we're going to pull things back to the left. So that's going to reduce cost overall, right? Human resources, are we going to be more productive? So that, like I said before, that's more subjective than objective. Unless you're looking at a schedule, an integrated master schedule, and you're looking at different tasks, and if certain resources are able to complete it sooner than the milestone date, for example. All right, we look at the scope, we look at the requirements to see if the PMO might be able to fine tune the scope and reduce the amount of requirements so that projects won't go on. And now we can see where we can cut costs, right?
Exactly.
Then there's other things like looking at risk and issues qualitatively and quantitatively to see if these risks become known or unknown risk becomes not now known, if they will materialize, how do we mitigate them so that it doesn't cost us anything, or what's the contingency plans, things like that. So these are the results of the PMO. Now, the PMO itself, there will always be a cost, like I said, because you have to operate it in some form or fashion. You might have to pay a PMO director. Well, that's a cost.
Exactly.
But with all of these savings in the actual performance of the projects or the programs, now you see a cost savings, which may actually be a profit. And
Exactly.
I've seen this many times before. Yes, the PMO itself, there's a cost, but what it does to help the projects along, now there's the revenue part of it, because now we're making revenue. So that's kind of a two-part answer there for that question.
Yeah, that's a good thing. It's the same like marketing. So marketing is a cost, but in order to sell, you need to do marketing
Right.
because nobody gonna know your products. And
Exactly.
so the value, the revenue generated by selling those products because so the awareness that was created by the marketing department. So main marketing a must in any organization. So the same thing, because I call all projects a business. It's an investment. So the
Right.
organization, they say I have $1 million. It's better to implement that project because we could generate X percentage instead of taking that money, put it in stock market or some other financial instrument. So
Right. Exactly.
if we can, as you were mentioning, maximize doing more with less, optimize the resources required to deliver that project faster than they're supposed to be. Those kind of optimization in everything that you do. So we create some financial wellness for the organization. So in that case, we say, yeah, we are profitable because our expenses are, this is the headcount is this amount of money, but we help the organization to create that revenue.
Yeah.
So I have another question in the same token. Uh, how do you envision the next generation PMO?
Oh, okay. So what I envisioned, this was actually my own personal vision statement. If I may, I think I have it somewhere. Let me see if I could find it. Um, what I tried to do is see, I created my own mission and vision statement, if you will,
No,
and if I can't even find it. Where is it? Sorry. So as far as let me see if I could find it. Um, I know I wrote this down because I'm reading it throughout so that it'll help me understand what it is I'm trying to do with the world of the PMO. Okay, so first let me put together a mission statement that I put together, and then I'll talk about the vision statement, what I aspire the PMOs to be down the road.
right.
So a mission statement is to share a globally standard project management office, a PMO, knowledge base with project management professionals around the world. All right, through education, certification, networking, collaboration, consulting, and auditing of such PMO methodologies and processes. Okay, so that's the mission. That's what I'm doing now. All right, so the vision is to transition global organizations' internal operations by utilizing a globally structured project management office, PMO, structured methodology in order to accelerate, okay, that's the key word, accelerate how organizations and individuals work together toward a comprehensive and cohesive business landscape for all, not just for one company here or there, but for all. So that's kind of the vision that I have down the road, that this whole concept of a PMO will be second nature to every company in the world so that everyone talks the same, everyone's efficient, everyone's effective, everything is comprehensive and cohesive. And that will happen through a PMO. So that's where I envision we would be tomorrow. I know, sorry, I got a little dramatic there, but that's how deep I feel about what a PMO is all about.
Yeah, I was reading something that I took a short course in LinkedIn that talks about the 2041 vision that was created. That course was created in 2021. So he was envisioning 30 years ahead, how our organization will look like in 30 years from now on. So that's to be the PMOs of the future. So we need to embrace new technology now that we are crazy about ChatGPT, artificial intelligence. But as a PMO, we need to foster innovation. We need to foster better collaboration, better connection more than relationship. So that's some kind of the things that we should embrace moving forward in the future for the next 10 years, for example, in the organization, how this organization will contribute to the bottom line of this company, of this corporation, so they can be on the top of whatever they do. If they are in the retail business, so they're gonna be the best retailer in the world. So if they are in the automobile industry, they're gonna be the better automobile industry in the world. So that was something that I'm spending a lot of time researching, reading. So I'm gonna have some kind of conference that PMI from Houston is delivering. So we're gonna have a past and future project management on the seat. So we're gonna take a cruise in Houston, from Houston to Cozumel, Mexico. So there will be 2 days, a lot of great people, speakers of project management. They're gonna be in the cruise. So I'm gonna take that topics, the next generation PMO. So we're gonna talk about a little of the past and then the future. So that's an interesting things. So I have one last question. It's about the continuous improvement, not only for processes improvement, but also for professionalism. So I know that you have been certified as a CB-PMO consultant. So you are already a seasoned PMO professional and leader. So what motivated you to go in that route or acquiring more knowledge, more certification? What do you recommend to other PMO leaders that they may think that they know everything and they don't need anything else?
Okay, well, whatever knowledge base you gain today will not stay stagnant. It will change. Always strive for process improvement, for new ways of doing things, for new technologies, new tools. Just strive for new things, because what might be good today may not work tomorrow. And I found that out in years of doing this. I've had my PMP, my underlying PMP, for many, many years. But since then, I've learned new ways of actually doing the underlying project management. For PMO related type of management, I've learned different ways of doing it. Every companies I've been to, they do different PMO methodologies, but I'm learning along the way on how to improve. So the two magic words: process improvement. All right.
Right.
Another 2 words, 3 words: a never stop learning. I'm getting to retirement age very soon, but I'm still trying to get my either my doctorate or PhD. Some people say it's already late in the game, but for me, I never stop learning. Right. So that's one of the things that I'm
never late.
It's never too late, right? So the advice I could give to the PMs out there, aspiring PMs, or even seasoned PMs: never stop learning, because things will change on a dime because of some sort of strategic initiative or some business objective that might have changed. Now you have to figure out how your PMO is going to benefit the company, because if the PMO is not going to benefit, if it's not going to bring value or bring benefits or high ROI or have any good KPI metrics, then it's almost nil to do that if you don't learn the new ways of doing things.
Right. Yeah, thank you very much, Mark, for those insightful discussions about PMO leadership and also advising the next generation of leaders that are taking our place. So
Right.
they will learn from us the real world experience. We have a lot of challenges and we have a lot of successes and we have passion for these things. So for that reason is that you're gonna be delivering trainings in PMO and helping other people to master this subject that is very important for organizations to grow and prosper.
Right.
That was a great thing to have you today in our
Thanks
session
for having me.
with PMO leaders.
All right. Thanks for having me.
Yeah, thank you.
Thank you.